All right, so this is going to be one stream. I'm going to address just the Delaware authorities with this. Y'all, anyone in Delaware, and I'm going to post this so publicly to everyone in the state of Delaware, y'all. So you need to keep that in mind. Everyone that wants to view this content is going to be able to, and there's nothing that you can do to stop it. All right, y'all. So this is how serious it is, and this is how I've had to operate. Okay. I'm not kidding when I say that this will be published to everyone that wants to watch it. And no, you actually don't have any legal route to take it down or to censor me in any way, shape, or form. Because that's how this situation has gone. From the beginning, I've had, unfortunately, there's been so much felony crime committed in hacking me, in putting, well, this specific surveillance tool in my device. You don't want me to talk about Pegasus, right? But see, that's the problem. You actually don't have any legal right to say that I can't, and you seem to not understand the law. I'm not upset with you. I just need to inform you. I need to educate everybody about this. If a citizen is able to find the tool on their own private property, they're allowed to talk about it, y'all. We can all do our own investigation on our private property. There's no classification. There's no, oh no, you're gonna ruin our tools. I'm not trying to be mean, y'all. That's the point, though. Look at how this goes when you abuse that tool, and you have abused that tool in this case, y'all. There's no question. So let me, say very plainly. The problem is that Notorious G number one, what was his name? I'm gonna say it out loud, but I'm gonna say it out loud, y'all. His name was Ty. Ty was the first one that I picked. And I said, man, Ty, there's this really involved situation. I'm kind of trying to explain to you, I'm a good guy. I haven't done anything. And, to be honest, I basically informed him that there was real FBI investigation going on, right? I did. And he was, what did he say about the FBI immediately? Well, I'm not a fan of the FBI. I feel like that they're always, successful in their convictions and this kind of stuff. That's what he said, literally. The very first thing that he said, he was like, I'm not a fan because they're successful in their convictions. Well, it's kind of weird to say that, y'all, because they're sort of successful in their convictions in more than a few ways, y'all. They're successful that they actually have morals and decency and integrity, right? Their convictions. Now, their legal convictions, y'all, I can't really speak for that. I'd have to go do more research. I was like, really, I'm the kind of person, I'll address the nuance, right? But part of what I'm saying, y'all, is that, well, look at that. I'm explaining to him from the beginning, and he's throwing in my face that he already knows. And also that he's like, oh, F the FBI, which is like weird and bizarre to me, really, really strange and bizarre to me. So, I need to emphasize that, how do I put this best? These folks, they didn't just try to finesse this situation, y'all. Really. They did not just try to finesse this situation. For anybody else that watches this later, I'm sorry if it seems bizarre to you, but the whole situation is beyond bizarre, to be honest. The way that I've had to defend myself and defend the truth, I could unfortunately see pretty quickly that, not everyone at this restaurant, but some people are looking at me like I'm a something or another. And that's my point, y'all, is that I know who I am. I'm not committed a crime. And I'm actually just there to get a job. And, I've been relentlessly abused. I've been subjected to illegal modern slavery. All that I was there for was to earn an income. Really, y'all, I needed money. Really, I did come up here for a safe house, y'all. I'm actually not kidding about that. I picked the place that I grew up in, that I always was safe in, and that, to be honest, when I meditate at times, I'm mentally, it's not mental illness, but I'm back here because this is where I was always safe my whole life. And I'll be honest, y'all, anybody in law enforcement, I'm sorry because it's so complicated for me to have to, address things this way. Look at that. Look at the situation that's forced. So many people lying about me relentlessly and abusing my trust relentlessly when they all know, right? How many of them had access to a Discord server when I was in Austin, y'all? How many of them sat around talking with these criminals and not knowing what they did not know? And so, again, y'all, that's the whole thing. I'm walking into a place where I'm kind of, testing the waters. I'm hoping, we're going to be decent human beings. We're going to, tell the truth. And let me just be honest, y'all. I have to say names. Keziah, the assistant manager, was super openly abusive towards me the very first day, and there's no one in the restaurant that can say that she was not. She was openly abusive. She wasn't just unprofessional, to be clear. She was openly abusive over and over and over again. And so for me, that was already just like, wow, you don't even know what you don't know, but you're willing to hate me openly. And that's when I noticed, y'all, right? For example, someone that claimed that I shortchanged them. I'll be honest, y'all. That's one of those things where it's like, looking back, honestly, probably I did not shortchange them at all, and I'm completely serious, y'all. I'm really diligent about counting the money out, and no, never for a moment am I trying to steal, ever, y'all. In fact, that's why I don't think any of you know I was a person in charge. That's what we call it at Panda Express, y'all. I was a PIC in the last time I worked at Panda, and so I did the cash management. Did you know that? Did you know that I was a person that counted the deposits and that had to fill out all the paperwork? See, at this restaurant, they had a fancy safe with a computer that did most of the work for them. It made it really quick and easy most of the time, right? But I was me and a couple other people, really, y'all. It's like, and I'm not trying to involve any of them, really, but that's kind of the point. It's like we're at a point in this where it is beyond bizarre how this has been handled. So for Ty to, from the beginning, have been smoking weed on the job, vaping nicotine, and, well, again, THC, that's the main thing, right? I didn't really want to have to say names, but, Jeremy, the very first day I was there, he walks out of the freezer and there's a cloud of THC smoke, y'all. I'm not trying to be mean, but there's a cloud of THC smoke. And so what Jeremy is working on a walk, to be clear, y'all. It's going to be a lot harder to talk with the television because my family locally here in Delaware, y'all, they have been really neglectful of our 92-year-old grandmother. She needs help getting hearing aids, really. And she is a very, I love her very much. She's very independent still for 92, y'all. But to be completely frank with you, she has a little bit more dementia than she's willing to admit right now. And she is stubborn. My whole family Very, very stubborn people through and through. So it's going to be really difficult, actually. Speaking of being on the autism spectrum, it is just a berating of the eardrums when that television turns on, because it's at a volume that is unlivable. Like if you're even just in the room with it, it's so loud, and no one. That's kind of the point, y'all. It's a sign of, well, you can't even have a conversation, quite frankly, with her, that you know that half of what you're saying is being heard. And that's inhumane, is my point, y'all, because my family here has acted like she's dumber than she is, right? They've been kind of mean to her, when a lot of the reason that the conversations go the way they go is because she can't hear. She can't hear, y'all. I mean, she's 92. She actually does. She needs hearing augmentation, however you want to call it, y'all. Like, really, she actually does. But when it comes down to it, I have to address this very publicly because, well, this is that big of a deal, y'all. And I'm going to post this for everyone. I've not committed a crime. These people, for example, Reggie, he told me the first day that he's a severe alcoholic and that he's drinking alcohol all day long, every day, on shift at Panda Express. He's going out to the dumpsters a lot of times to drink that alcohol, and then he's coming back in, right? Everybody in the restaurant's talking crap about Reggie, right? I'm trying to be patient. I'm trying to see for myself and understand, right? Again, I think this narrative is what really frustrates me and pisses me off. They were acting like I was going in the bathroom all the time to vape nicotine, y'all. I have a neurological disability. I have to use the restroom very frequently. That's the whole thing. It's actually so abusive, to be honest, y'all. It's so abusive that specific narrative has been taken advantage of the way that it has this whole time. And it really has been taken advantage of relentlessly, y'all, because I stepped outside sometimes to vape a little bit. I was not hiding it, that's what's so dumb. When I would walk out, and that's, again, talk about the way this is going, y'all. It's like, do I take my phone? Do I not, right? And for a long time, I just didn't, because, well, the cell phone in my life, y'all, it's like I'm a technologist, and we've had real public corruption. So Pegasus has been used and abused in my life already to try to frame me for real crime, which is quite beyond ridiculous to be, very, very loud, y'all. I have to, that's right. If you're like, no, don't talk about the tool has been used to try to frame me for violent crime repeatedly. And that's not my personal subjective opinion. That is a plain statement of objective fact. So part of the reason I'm posting this video, I'm saying, I'm going to tag Delaware State Police. I'm going to tag, Dover Police Department. I say tag, y'all. I mean, on social media, I'm going to say at, and it's going to be a very public post, y'all. And I'll be honest with you, like, you're not going to be able to take it down if you want to. And so you kind of got to, decide. Are you going to, well, just be honest and address the nuance of this situation? Or are you going to sit around with gangsters like Ty and try to help him commit perjury further, lie about me or my mental health, right? Kisaya, to be honest with you, it was very clear she was trying to say that I was a thief when she knew better than anyone watching me that I was not in any way, shape, or form. That's kind of one of the most hurtful things about the whole situation, y'all. It's that you're watching people, that, to be honest with you, they are just wanting to, well, pile onto something that they don't even understand. They're trying to say that you're a criminal, and yet you're showing them that you're not a criminal in any way, shape, or form. And that's not just hurtful. That's not just deceptive. That is, well, systematically psychopathic, quite frankly. And again, that's where it's like, man, you got to understand how much I've had to put up with for years in this exact same behavior, this group psychology, right? I'm asking for patience about that. But at the same time, y'all, I'll be honest with you, that's what's so weird to me is some of you would like to be upset about the fact that I'm talking about Pegasus. Well, you chose to deploy it, y'all. You chose to deploy it. And so what am I expected to say or do when it comes down to it? It's like, I quite frankly, it's a tool that's been relentlessly abused in my life to try to frame me for violent crime in the state of Texas. It's been relentlessly abused to literally enact modern slavery. And I'm not claiming that, y'all. We have all of the data in the world that asserts my innocence. And so for us to sit around and pretend like that's not true or not the case, it's really not just not legal. Let me put it that way. It's not just not legal. That Panda Express, this Panda Express, y'all, right here, they've got people, Ty was dealing drugs, repeatedly in this restaurant. Reggie he just asked me, y'all, to bring him home one day. And he said at first he's going to pay me, but I didn't, I was like, look, if you're on the way home, that was it, y'all. And I'll be honest, it's like, that was literally it. He's sitting there acting like, oh, yeah, no, how was this or whatever. It's like, I'll be honest, y'all, if we need to really get, super in depth, then we will. And you'll realize that, okay, you've got a group of folks at this Panda who, well, they're taking mushrooms and they're smoking weed on the job frequently. And that's something that, I'll be honest, you're legally obligated to address if you want to go after me. This is not going to be the kind of thing where you get to just be like, no, you're just what, It's like you're listening to folks that are distributing substances, and they're turning around and trying to accuse me either of the same or of just being a what? That's my problem. A thief, being a bad guy, that I'm supposedly vaping nicotine in the bathroom when I have a neurological disability, right? People are spinning that in my face repeatedly. It's actually not acceptable in any way, shape, or form. I have to say it very plain matter of fact, because again, y'all, I need now any judge in the state of Delaware. I need even the governor of Delaware. I need the mayor of Dover to be aware of this situation, because that's how it goes, y'all. It's been relentlessly illegal the way that I've been treated, and so many people lying about me as a group. So when I'm informed from the very first interview that I have that, well, there's kind of a problem with Kisaya, this assistant manager, and I'll be honest, y'all, in a way, I was just trying to have faith and, give benefit of the doubt. Like, I thought maybe it was just a heads up that, it's kind of a frustrating situation with the assistant manager. But the thing that was a little bit strange to me is it's a weird thing to say to a brand new employee, right? It's like, yeah, this assistant manager, she's such a problem. Is it kind of the way that it was spoken about, right? And I didn't really want, Soka was kind of nice to me in a way, y'all, but I'll be honest, a little bit two-faced for sure at the same time, right? So I do have to bring up Soka's name, y'all. She's a general manager of the store, and if she wants to be involved in trying to mess up my life, well, I've been sending all of them YouTube videos that I just didn't have the resources to put together before. Like I said, I needed a safe house. I was being illegally muzzled in the state of Texas. That's what's complicated, y'all. It's like I was never doing anything sketchy. I didn't bring anything from Denver. I wasn't, quote, trafficking anything in any way, shape, or form. The narrative here has been relentlessly abusive, relentlessly illegal. And that's what's strange for me is I don't know how many of you know, how many folks have been involved in, well, defending the truth here. Because even if it's been secret, which it has been, of course, y'all, now that's kind of directly relevant when you're still kind of trying to go down the same track as, well, some local authorities that did the same thing before. And they're like, well, I'm sure they're getting in contact with you, right? I wanted to be really patient. There were a lot of investigators that came up, and you could just love Panda. You could just and sit where you can watch me the whole shift, right? And then someone that appears to be a social worker, right? And that's what I'm saying, you have to sit down and you have to have a conversation with me. There's no option otherwise. You can't. I've spoken on the public record repeatedly as of 3 years ago saying that no one in my family has any legal right to speak for me, and that's not a claim in any way, shape, or form, y'all. That's a plain statement of objective fact. Now, I do want to say, that's bizarre for me, how many of you are members of this organization that I've been referring to, y'all? Unfortunately. How many of you are members of the family? Do you realize that you're on a federal watch list? You actually are on a federal watch list, y'all. This is actually that big of a deal because that organization has so relentlessly abused the law throughout this, and they're lying in tandem. It actually is what we call shared psychotic disorder. So if you want to participate in that shared psychotic disorder, y'all, well, I'm just letting you know that no matter what happens or what damage you can or are trying to do to my life, you will be held legally accountable. And I'm not claiming that. You will be held legally accountable. I'll be honest, the social worker that I saw, that's kind of what was a little bit hurtful to me, is I saw like really harsh judgment in her eyes, if I'm being honest. I can't walk up to her and say, are you a social worker and you're monitoring me? It's like, I can't, but I can see straight through it. I'm just being honest with you, y'all. And somebody sits in the spot that they do, right? And like is watching me the whole time, right? That's what I'm saying. You have to have a direct conversation with the person. Especially when, well, that's the double-edged sword of our surveillance apparatus, if you want to put it that way, in this country, y'all. You're monitoring social media actively, so you know what I'm saying very publicly. You're keeping a close eye on that, right? That means that you are legally obligated to regard what I'm stating, y'all. And I'm not trying to be mean when I say it. I'm trying to maintain calmness and composure in a situation that, I'll be honest, a lot of you would not be able to maintain calmness and composure. And no offense, but look at that. You go work somewhere, you just need a job. You're actually excited. One of the main things, y'all, is I don't have keys to, well, important things on a computer where hackers can abuse that, and that's the problem. There's actually a real gang of, psychopathic criminal hackers that have relentlessly hacked my private property. And I've got a list of them here and their locations, I worked in a very, very central role in an international company. I told the truth about, well, a serious set of white collar crimes that multiple of those individuals were involved in committing. And I was never claiming that for a moment. This will be that 1 in a billion for you if you just could not find it in your heart to believe me prior. But now I have no choice but to put it out there very publicly because, well, it's for my protection. At the end of the day, you need to understand it's for my protection and my protection alone. When it comes down to it, I did. Soka, I tried to explain to her very calmly, right? And that's the double-edged sword of like, well, Soka, I'm just letting you know, there's actually a group of real criminal hackers. They've been hacking me repeatedly. Part of the reason I'm giving a heads up, I'm giving a work laptop even, they'll hack anything. They'll try to hack Panda. They'll try to hack, I'm not kidding, y'all. And then what are they trying to do that for? Because they're trying to frame me, y'all, repeatedly. And it's so systematic that's why we've had federal investigation going on for so long. So I'm trying to give her a heads up. And to be honest with you, that's one of the things that's really difficult is I'll obviously have to reach out to Panda Corporate as well. It's just, I'm not trying to, that's the point, y'all. It's like, my intent is not really to get people in trouble, but, well, what are people doing? They're lying as a group and they're, participating in something that is objectively not just immoral, but illegal at the end of the day. Soka knows that her employees are, well, vaping THC on the job. Soka knows that her employees are going out to have a drink on the job, right? She's kind of trying to be like the cool manager to some extent. And, and I'm not making any comment on that in particular. And some of you, I guess, you probably have an issue with that, right? Because that's illegal. That is actually illegal, explicitly. Reggie, like I said, he tells me he's a severe alcoholic. And I'll be honest, he always reeked of alcohol every single day that I was around there. Every single day. I think part of what's difficult for me is that, I'm in this, situation, it's like how many folks are going to lie about their, well, being a federal agent, right? Straight to my face. And is Reggie one? I wasn't saying that he was, but, to be honest, that's what, like, it's fun and exciting for people in a restaurant if a Fed shows up and they're like, yeah, we're trying to, quote, get this guy. And they're criminal psychopaths in the DEA right now. I'm not claiming that. They're actually that deeply corrupt. And that's why we've had federal investigation going on as long as we have. So, for me, I think the difficult thing is that I've been investigating, well, so many people legally for so long out of my protection, right? And so now, well, who else do I have to investigate legally? I don't want to. And my point is that I was being prevented from providing my legal testimony for this very real, very massive federal case, prior to all of this. And quite frankly, Air Force, right, being involved. Dover is a huge Air Force town, right? So talk about federal keys, it's not just DEA, of course, right? And speaking of being, compromised, like, obviously, yes, that anyone in the family is compromised factually, in case you did not know. But also, unfortunately, this guy, the way that he thinks, he actually will. He'll go after Air Force, he'll go after military, he'll go after anybody, federal agencies, obviously, if he can, and that's the point, that we take that so seriously. We have so many layers of how we build things to make sure that we're not just certain, we're completely certain when we do have a real mole or we do have someone that is abusing their federal keys. And so in this case, that's part of what's so difficult, right? The social narrative of this. I went up to a military recruiting office before I really even started working at Panda, and I wanted, really, I'm willing to go into the military, but it's complicated right now. It's like I also need to provide this testimony, especially when I'm walking in and I'm receiving the reaction that I did, even in that recruiting office, and specific comments that are made. So I want to emphasize again, like, I'm not claiming that you don't have anything. I'm letting you know you don't have anything on me, y'all. I'll be honest with you, like, you're not just you're not just grasping at straws. You're listening to people who are psychopathically lying as a group about me. And so do you want to participate in that behavior, right? Understanding that the mayor and the governor and the president and everyone in this country are going to hear my words, right now, because it really is that big of a deal. It's that kind of thing where it's like, man, really, like, are we going to turn a blind eye to people like Ty, who's saying he's going to shoot up a strip club? Oh, but Ty's a good guy. That's, suddenly, I start working there, and then he suddenly decides to not work there anymore. And, I'll be honest, I just didn't really care. At the end of the day, it's like, when it comes down to it, how do I say this best? At this point, it's never been about me. You understand? It's not about me in terms of like my pride or protecting myself. It's about the fact that these people. Well, what did Ty say to me? Actually, this is so directly relevant. Ty said that he knows multiple people, his own friends, who have committed murder. That's what Ty said to me. Ty said that he has multiple friends that he knows personally who have committed murder. And you know what I really immediately, was kind of like, well, Ty, like that's not kind of like a thing that you don't turn people in for. Like you got to kind of, you can complain about people being a quote snitch all you want, but like that's not something to brag about, man. And like that's actually not okay in any way, shape, or form. When he's saying that to me, it's telling me, y'all, first of all, what he wants to believe about me. But second of all, that, I'll be honest, in a way, deep down, that he probably knows that I'm innocent. You understand? And he doesn't care. Why is that? Well, he's informing me about his psychology, that his mindset is that he's going to lie to protect his friends who have literally committed murder, which is what he's openly telling me. And so that's what's so kind of horrible about this context, y'all, is a man who's bragging about how he's going to shoot up a strip club if his girlfriend ever dares to work at a strip club. I'm not saying that she should, y'all, but he's very openly making that statement, and then he's resoundingly explaining again when I put him on the spot about it, like, what do you mean by you're going to give him some air? It's like, I'm going to shoot it up. I'm going to shoot it up. It's like, I'll be honest, y'all, this is not a man that is in any position to be, speaking in a legal capacity about me. Just like, quite frankly, no one else in that restaurant is, actually, to let you know. And that's what's kind of frustrating to me, is that we keep playing the same dumb games, quite frankly, with a real human being's life who is innocent. And it became obvious to me that, yes, especially I understand it's just a new guy, you don't know anything about him, kind of like, like I said, I'm wanting to give the benefit of the doubt, but it's very obvious that people just don't want to believe. Like, deep down, they want to believe that I'm a horrible person, and I'm not. I haven't hurt anyone in any way, shape, or form. That's not just, my personal opinion, to be clear. Remember, if anybody was just like, well, we don't believe you because of the false accusations about your mental health, well, that's why I'm talking about data, because we solve situations like this with data. We don't solve situations like this based off of word of mouth, especially when we're seeing that people have repeatedly lied over and over and over and over again. And so I need to emphasize that, I'll be honest, it's disappointing. I really just wanted a job. That's all that I wanted, I just wanted to work a job. I would have kept working there. And why did I no call, no show? And I just disappeared, y'all. We'll be honest, that's the thing. Right now I've got to reach out to Panda and explain. Because that is, unfortunately, how I work, y'all. And I have to in this context, to be clear. I did that, y'all, because, well, it is a signal. You understand? I knew that they were lying to me and that they were lying to the authorities. And, when I see Soka, for example, I open my mouth because I'm about to say something to her one day on a Monday, right? And she turns around, and that's the thing. I closed my mouth because I didn't end up saying it. But I turn around and I say, well, I didn't say anything, right? I just started like I was going to say something, and then I decided not to in that moment. It wasn't some random weird thing I was going to say, but I shut my mouth, right? And I guess in the corner of her eye, she saw me open my mouth and close it. She turns to Jeremy, the man that I saw vaping nicotine in the freezer from the very first day, coming out with the plume of it from the freezer. Excuse me, I'm sorry, not nicotine. He was vaping THC, just to let you know. I smelled the weed, like literally, he was vaping THC. And no, it's not a claim. And to be honest, that's the thing. I don't think some of them realize that. Well, as soon as I show up to this restaurant, there's a lot of people watching those cameras more closely than anyone else. And I don't really want to have to say it that way, but that is the truth. So just an FYI, when it comes down to it, we can complain about, false accusations towards me. Remember, look how dumb it gets, because it's a bunch of people lying in a group towards one dude who we come to find out is really genuinely a good person and always was. And to be honest with you, I know that Panda Corporate cares. Like, they really actually do care. And no, they're not going to be okay with the way that these folks in this restaurant have behaved in any way, shape, or form. So that's what's kind of challenging for me, is that obviously Panda Corporate will end up watching this video at the end of the day as well, because that's going to be a part of my communication towards them, is that, look, I always had a very positive perception of Panda Express. That's part of the reason I came back, is that I worked there in the past, left on good terms, put my 2 weeks in, always was a good employee. I was a PIC. I was basically, the substitute assistant manager a lot of times. When I was the PIC, I was the man that dealt with tough customers. I was the man, and even actually, that's what's bizarre, even here, I was the man many times that dealt with tough customers, actually, and none of them can say that I was not. Some really only one customer and okay, that's the thing, if I have to go, recall all of these interactions, that's actually what's so horrible, is that, well, I will explain, customers can be in the wrong sometimes, and I'm still polite, right? But it's when someone's being extraordinarily rude to my coworkers, and look how horrible that is, y'all. I'm defending them. I'm not being aggressive towards anyone, right? A mistake was made with one order, for example, and someone was really upset about the amount of time initially, and it's like, ma'am, I can't snap my fingers and change anything. We are understaffed, and I told her that. And what does she say to me? She spits in my face. Well, being understaffed is not an excuse for being slow. It really isn't for, slow service is what she says. But it's like, to be honest with you, I'm kind of, I don't know what to say to that, because, a lot of restaurants are dealing with that right now. And that's been the situation for a long time. You're going to places and you're realizing, they don't have enough people. And it's not their fault that they don't have enough people. And so you kind of just got to be patient. There's kind of nothing else to say about it. You can call corporate if you want to, and they'll, maybe address it and try to hire more people in the store, right? But that's the whole point, is that's your only option, to sit there and say, that kind of thing. And I don't have anything to say to her other than, okay, thank you, have a nice day. It's literally, that's all that it is. It's like, and I think she was mad that I didn't have more. There's nothing else to say, quite frankly. She's already being really beyond rude, from the beginning. And so that is good customer service, in case anyone did not know. That's actually good customer service. That's exemplary customer service, really. And that is the kind of person that I am. That's why it's kind of so frustrating and difficult for someone really, in retrospect, when I see, Kisaya, and I'll leave her name out for now, another, a PIC, right? They're looking at the cameras about this man that accuses of me shortchanging him. But I'll be honest, that's the thing, y'all. In retrospect, you would like to call me mentally ill, but probably DEA, y'all. They're criminal psychopaths. That's exactly the kind of thing that they do. They'll go in, and even the tiniest thing like that, they'll lie about it. They'll call back, no, I didn't get, the right amount of money. They're what? They know exactly what they're doing. They're trying to make something out of nothing. They're literally engineering a problem. So I think what I'm gonna do, y'all, is I'm gonna make a few videos like this. I'm gonna upload them all. And that's the thing. I can't do it all in one go. I'll be honest, with the television playing as loud as it is, which is really, really unhealthy. Let me emphasize, like, the TV volume that damages your hearing over time, that it's that loud. It's part of why it's actually so horrible that my own family simply refuses. They've said no, but we gave her hearing aids and she lost them. Well, she's 92, y'all. That's kind of the problem. And now I have to say all this publicly because, I can't even have a conversation with our own grandmother, and you're sitting around trying to act like I'm some horrible dude that I'm not. It actually is, it's criminally neglectful given some of the other things that are going on around here in terms of especially the business, y'all. You're not being reasonable towards our 92-year-old grandmother. You're sitting around basically eyeing up her physical possessions, waiting, y'all, and that's disgusting to me, because let me emphasize in this very public video, I don't want anyone's inheritance. I don't want anyone's money. I don't want any of her property. I don't want anything, this house, anything around it, y'all. It's like, I mean it. That's the kind of person that I am. In fact, it actually makes me kind of just really disappointed, if I'm being completely honest, which I am, y'all. It makes me really disappointed. So this is the first video, y'all, and I'll be back to finish the others.